Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's very special space we have with our good friends at Pixels. My name is Kermit, your host for today, and today's topic is all about the many faces of Web3 gamers, the many faces of Web3 gamers. I can't wait to get into this one, but first and foremost, before we get started, one thing I want to do is welcome all of our beautiful panelists, all of our beautiful guests that we have on with us today. Today's panel is stacked with a lot of legends, so I can't wait to get in. But before I actually start, just a quick word for all of our panelists. The best way to participate in today's conversation, just make sure to raise your hand if you listen to someone's take, if you hear someone's take, you want to add onto it, you want to refute it, you want to have a back and forth, make sure to raise that beautiful hand. Don't be shy, and we'll get you up on stage or to reply. But without further ado, I want to get straight into it and actually start by our very own Pixels. Luke, I see you here on stage with us. How was your morning so far?
Yeah, it's been a great morning. Feeling pretty energized. The next 2 weeks for Pixels is going to be nuts. So yeah, just getting the whole team aligned, getting everybody ready for like what it means for us. But yeah, super excited, super energized, and can't wait to get into all this.
I feel like a lot of people have varying secrets to how they stay energized. How do you stay energized, Luke?
I mean, one part of it is like we've been working towards this moment for so long. It's kind of cool to see like all the efforts of the team finally start to pay off. This team has been working super, super hard. So we're kind of at the finish line of one of the biggest milestones that we've been working towards, and just that alone has been super fun and exciting. And then yeah, otherwise you gotta stay healthy in Web3. To all the Pixels players playing the game, you gotta be sleeping well, you gotta be eating healthy, take care of yourselves. Super important as a founding team as well.
Is there anyone playing right now who's also listening in on the space? I want to know the percentage of people just playing Pixels while listening to the space. If you're playing Pixels right now, just throw a hands up or a thumbs up rather. I want to see those thumbs up go in the a couple of people. A couple of people playing Pixels as we are on the space. I love to see it. And one thing how did I forget to mention this? If you're enjoying today's conversation, if you like what you hear, make sure to hit that bottom right button, that purple button in the corner. Just spread the love, like this space, comment on it, any questions you might have, or just to support bookmark it. Apparently, that also helps. Let's make sure to crush last week's space record. We set a brand new record. I think the space, what was it at, Luke? Like something like 10,000 listeners in total. Something crazy.
Yeah, I think almost 20,000 people listened to it. I think we had like 1,800 concurrent at one point, which is pretty nuts for a Twitter space.
1,800. 1,800? Was it 1,800?
Yeah, yeah, I think it was, maybe it wasn't quite that high, but it was something like that, I
Sheesh.
think. Yeah, something nuts for Twitter spaces.
All right, we definitely need to break this one. So you heard Luke. We need to break 1,800 live listeners. Let's try to do that. Uh, hit that like button, hit that bookmark, hit that comment, hit that retweet even. But without further ado, let's go through our panel here today. Karma, man, it's been a while, Karma, talk to you. So how have you been?
I am brilliant. I'm tuning in from New York to everybody here. I'm still recovering from a slight cold, but hey, back in full force. And I
Back in
woke
full
up
force.
today to the most gorgeous, magical landscape, like which has been dusted with snow. So beautiful and the best setup possible.
Hold on, where are you?
New York right now, Kermit.
New York. I love that. I love that. I'm in Amsterdam, which close enough to New York, but it's also snowing over here. I woke up same exact view, which is absolutely lovely to see. Happy to have you on with us, Karma. I want to check in with Charles. Charles, I know this is a big week for you. A lot of prep as well. How have you been, man?
Dude, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Just basically just cranking, we're shipping the game tomorrow. Flight airdrop starts for us tomorrow. And yeah, I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. It's a good time. No complaints.
Man, this is the week of building. This is a week where a lot of things are right on this week. Love to see it, man. Love to have you here on today. And last but not least, I want to check in with my good friend Sage. How are you, man?
Hey, how are you guys doing? Yeah, I'm doing great. Glad to be here with this legends chats in the space here. So yeah, excited for your launch tomorrow, Nifty. Can't wait for that playthrough. Looks so exciting with all the characters from so many ecosystems. It's gonna be fun. I'm definitely gonna be there. So
Hell yeah, appreciate you, man.
yeah. So yeah, glad to be here.
Love
I
this.
see the great Jiho joining as well. So
I love this.
hi there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Am I seeing things right? Is that Geo's right now?
Oh yeah.
Joining the stage?
What up? What up? I'm supposed to be in this space, right? So, yeah. Thanks for waiting for me. I was actually on a call with someone who's giving feedback on one of our recent releases, so I wanted to process that.
Was it? What kind of feedback was it?
Well, not to get into the nitty gritty, but we just released a new AXP or Axie Experience Point progression system for Origins, right? The flagship Axie card battler. So yeah, people really like it, but there are also some optimizations that could perhaps be taken into account. So
Love that, man. Love that. Gotta respect the hustle. Gotta respect someone who's just building constantly, man. It's great to be talking to you once again, man. Happy to see you here and honored to have you join us. Can't wait to get right into today's topic, the many faces of Web3 gamers. And without further ado, I want to start by asking my first question right to let's start with Luke and then pivot around. Luke, something I keep on hearing people often say about the NFT space is that we're all here for money, right? Everyone here is motivated by money, by finance, by financial gain. Money is the only reason we're here. It's what moves the space. It's why we all joined. It's all anyone cares about here. But I feel like that is sometimes, albeit while holding some truth, I feel like that is a gross misinterpretation or misrepresentation and generalization of the subtle nuances that every NFT participant has. I mean, my question for you, Luke, is all of Web3 only after money?
Well, I mean, I think you can just look at the people who stuck around here for the bear market, and I think you can pretty confidently say that these people probably aren't here for the money. Digging into like why they're here is interesting, right? Like I think a lot of the reason that our community stuck around during the bear market was because people legitimately liked getting an inside peek into how we build out pixels, and we do this building in public thing, right? So like our community kind of became like a part of the builders of the game. So there's some cool parts like that, but yeah, I mean, it's not all about that, right? The financialization is like an interesting component that I think actually can make games more fun in certain circumstances, and also like unlocks the new interesting side of things for like business as well too. When you think about user acquisition, things like that. But yeah, I mean, like I think the heart of Web3 is community and growing with community rather than financialization.
So the heart of it, but there are, right? You did mention a very good question. There are different motivations. There are different motives for why different people are in the space. What do you think are some of those different archetypes of users that exist? So we have maybe would you say the majority of people are in it for the money?
I think for the money maybe is a loaded thing to say. I think adding stakes to gaming makes it very interesting. Like for example, when I play fantasy football, I am so much more invested in fantasy football when I'm in a league that has money on top of the fantasy football because it makes it feel a bit more real to me, right? But yeah, it's interesting because when we first started building out this game, I completely over-indexed, and I think a lot of Web3 developers did in the beginning too, on like not financializing or like not adding any component of earn or any component of like the Web3 side of things into the game. And then as we started actually like analyzing user behavior and like seeing how people actually interact with the game, we realized, it's maybe not necessarily a bad thing. There are some interesting components when you start to experiment with the Web3 side of things, when you start to lean into, some of the earn mechanics, when you start to lean into like some of the risk, some of that side of things too. it makes the game more fun to certain
Mhm.
types of
Mhm.
players, and that's not a bad thing. But it's also about designing incentives, one, that are sustainable, two, that are legitimately fun. If you create a system that's just not fun and you have people playing a game that they don't like, that's not good for anybody. So we think about that a lot. Like for us, when we think about the Web3 components into the game design, it has to be adding value to the game and to the fun. And if it's not, we don't want to be adding them.
I do see also Charles and Karma's hand raised. I will get to you. But something, as Luke was speaking, there's something that I just remembered. I was having a conversation a couple of weeks ago with a very good friend of mine, Alyssa. Shout out to Alyssa. And she actually pointed out a research that Ronan did. Not sure when it was, but obviously this where I'm going with this. This is a question to you, Jihos. She pointed out that Ronan paid so much attention to the different user archetypes within your ecosystem. It was something crazy, like 12 different user archetypes just in Ronan. Am I getting this figure right? Am I anywhere close?
Yeah, there are so many, and that's something that we have really studied. We should actually like do a revamp of our research around that. But yeah, it was something that we started to basically uh, write down our thoughts around and to keep kind of some internal, but also some kind of external notes. So basically, yeah. So what are the different types of Ronin gamers, right? You have the, and I think different people could do this, could break these down in different ways. I'm sure Luke could do it even better than me. But some of the basically broad and very simple archetypes that we were observing, right, were like the PvP competitive battlers, the collectors, the guild managers, the just straight up like aesthetic collectors, the breeders, right? People who just are interested in playing the marketplace game, the flippers, people who are right like buying and sniping undervalued axes and then just relisting them for higher. Yeah, the people who are most interested in right the content creation side of things, right? That is kind of also like a player archetype because in the Axie community, an abnormally high number of community members are also content creators. Why? Because they are owners of the game and they feel agency and responsibility for the success of the game. So they go on to do things beyond just playing the game that help to make it successful. Right, they're the community managers or the helping hands, the people who are literally in the trenches in the Discord, getting people across the chasm one by one. Right, they're the like physical event coordinators, right? People who are throwing Axie meetups in their home countries. They're the artists, right? There's some people who just love the Axie art. Or the art of their favorite Web3 game, right? And that's their way of contributing, right? So it's like these archetypes of players are also in some ways archetypes of contributors, right? And then what you can basically do is like, okay, what types of contribution behaviors am I trying to coordinate, and how do I use incentives to basically coordinate those behaviors in a smart way, right? So it's like, yes, things will get financialized, but that's only a problem, or that's mainly a problem if you're financializing the wrong behaviors. If you financialize the right behaviors, then it's like, wow, this is a superpower. We can get our community to do things that normal gamers would never think of doing.
Okay, hold on to that thought right here. If we financialize the right behaviors, what is that? What does that look like? What is a right behavior versus a wrong behavior?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not the end all be all person to declare what's good and what's correct and what's right. So I also want to say that. But of course, things like right, creating content, onboarding people, playing the game at a high level, right, and also like providing player liquidity, right. So one of the things about Axie, and one of the reasons that initially made sense for us to create some incentives was that like the game, the Axie Classic basically is a type of game that gets more fun the more people that are playing, right? You could probably say this about a lot of games, a lot of like, especially like a social MMO, right? Maybe that's why a social MMO is actually a good genre fit for blockchain, right? Where basically games that get more fun with the larger they get are good candidates for some sort of a financial incentive, right? Like you basically create incentives for winning, then you get more people playing. Many of them seeking rewards, but then that also makes the game more fun against people at your skill level. Why? Well, if you kind of try to scientifically, from a game design perspective, quantify what is fun in a game. So if you study this, I mean, there are different theories, but one of them is that basically what makes a game fun is when you're in flow state. What is flow state? Flow state is when you're being challenged at the optimal edge of your abilities, where basically something is not too easy, but not too hard. A clear example of this is like if you play chess against someone at your skill level, it can be really fun. But if you play someone who's much worse than you or so much better than you, right, it's not as fun, right? So basically, Axie Classic, right? It's like it was a game that gets more fun the more people that are in the queue because you're basically right mathematically guaranteed or more likely to play against someone at your skill level. And then, right, you're basically getting challenged at the edge of your abilities. Then the game is actually getting more fun. And that's basically a clear way to define how is financial incentives making this game more fun in a scientific way. So that's just one example.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I did see Karma's hand go up and Charles as well. I'll get to you right after. But Karma, how do you think about financial incentivization of certain user behavior? Like, what does positive financial incentivization look like for you and maybe for ZTX?
Yeah, no, this is a brilliant question. And my hand was initially raised back at the question, is it bad or is everybody in crypto, here to make money? And I just always find that question very, 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 amusing. And when you consider like where we all came from, I mean, crypto came out of the wish to build a different financial system, which is more empowering and allows you the self-custody of assets. So on the overall scale, I feel like when you consider that very foundation of what we are all building within, it makes perfect sense that financial incentive is always front and center. It's like a part of the legacy burden that we now building games have to care for. But what is a good financial incentive? Well, I don't think the financial incentives are anything, groundbreakingly new in crypto gaming. They are just empowering gamers at an unprecedented level and, in unprecedented ways. Now, bear with me here. The majority of games, well before Web3 gaming was a thing, had an in-game currency on some type of an in-game means of communication on an economic level. It's just the groundbreaking part is where you now have the power and the freedom to actually remove that liquidity, remove that economic output that you've created by investing your time and your resources. You can now remove it from the game and it lives in a broader ecosystem of crypto as opposed to just living in a game. And I think that's, on one hand, really, really incredible for the players, really incredible for the wider ecosystem, but an insanely difficult thing to balance for the games themselves, for people who build them. And those in-game economies are very fragile and very difficult to do quote unquote right, or even define what's right. In short, if you ask me to summarize, I would say that a good financial incentive aligns the wishes of the game builders. Everybody wants engaged audience, everybody wants power users to feel valued and keep contributing to the game. And on the flip side, of course, you don't want to feel on the player side like you're just being dangled a carrot in front of you that is actually very difficult to reach. So TLDR, difficult to balance.
You've hit a very interesting thread, which is one of the core reasons a lot of us might have joined crypto, might have dove into crypto, which is the financial aspect, the empowerment through which we get, or that we get through crypto and cryptocurrency and the blockchain and NFTs and all of this tech. So I guess a good question to go with that is there a difference in user behavior or in demographic, in user motivation and archetypes that exist between Web3 gaming and the traditional gaming demographic? And I'd love to start this with you, Karma, since we're on that thread, and then pivot around.
Yeah, I think in short, I don't think there is a very, very broad audience. And, G-host, feel free to disagree with me. Luke, you as well, Charles. But I think the majority of Web3 gamers that we see in the space today have been onboarded via crypto. So what I mean by that is that financial incentive, the ability to earn money, financialize your assets in many ways, and monetize your time, that is the first consideration when they search for a new project, search for a new game to engage in. I'm not demonizing this. I don't think this is bad at all, but I do think that this is the difference to the Web2 audience, which does not necessarily expect when joining a new game to be rewarded for it financially in any way. And I do think over time, those audiences will be very, very different, as we adjust our marketing strategies, as we start onboarding and lower the threshold of entry for people who have never used crypto before. I do think these audiences will mingle and converge. But for now, the main difference, I think, is how people weight importance of game features. And I do think that many Web3 gamers still see potential gain and financial incentives as one of the most important considerations.
Very interesting. And do you think we'll ever see sort of that pivot from there being even a Web3 gamer demographic to just there being a gamer demographic? As in, let me give you a bit of context. Like a lot of these times when I talk to founders about demographic in specific, there's the talk of what is it, the free to play meta, right? The rise of free to play as a trend, as a way of gaming, how it didn't make sense at first, how, rare were the games trying it out until all of a sudden users just started adopting it. It's what users all of a sudden just made sense for them. And slowly but surely, we started seeing the rise of free to play and the downfall of pay to play. Or so the legend has it, for lack of a better word. So, do you think we're...
Rumor says.
What did you say? I missed that.
Sorry, I was just joking. Rumor says.
The rumor. That's what the rumor has it. So, do you think there's ever going to be a day where it's not Web3 gaming user demographic behavior, just that boring talk, and more of just this is what gamers want? Like they want games that also empower them financially.
100%. So my personal mental model around this is that over time and in the near future, as we basically need to jump over the threshold of those technical hurdles, and here Pixels and Axie with Ronin, like you guys have genuinely made strides for the entire industry in terms of scalability and ease of onboarding in ways no other game has done at this scale. And what I mean by lowering the thresholds of entry, I mean right now, whichever game you want to play with your friends that is defined as a Web3 game, you're actually gonna have to first explain to them how to start a wallet, very often how to connect that wallet to the game. Even if a game has social login, meaning it allows you login via email, you will often still need some kind of an in-game currency or something for gas fees sometimes if the game doesn't subsidize them. It's not always the case. It's not just, hey, download this and let's jump in and play. There is a significant upfront cost of onboarding, even for you between friends. I know this is already changing. Again, huge kudos to many of the participants of the panel here, but that was still a huge hurdle. And I think as this all dissipates, we will enter this mode where the fun gameplay actually matters much more, and we have those games which are like you said, free to play. And then it's down to you how deep you want to immerse yourself in digital collectibles, collecting different achievements, maybe even, engaging with this in-game economy at different levels. I don't think everybody is going to always utilize the ability of, maybe transferring the assets out and self-custodying them, etc. I do believe down the line the majority of players are going to be interacting with the games, with the NFTs, with the assets in a very in-game integrated way. But there will always be the scale of power users which will choose this deeper integration, this deeper engagement. And this actually ties us brilliantly to the topic of the spaces, right? The many faces of Web3 gamers. I think over time there is going to be a difference between the 90% of your audience, which is maybe a bit less like savvy and doesn't utilize all the financial abilities with NFTs, and then this like hyper specific audience which chooses to go deeper. But would love to see how like Gihos, Luke, Charles, how the others see this, because it's, I know, a very controversial topic and the projection.
Oh, super controversial. Luke, there you have it. Any thoughts?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because a lot of games are in a state where they haven't launched yet. And we talk a lot in these spaces and in Web3 of all the problems that do with launching a game and acquiring users. But I can say confidently there is a whole other set of problems once you actually have a live game. And there's a whole other set of problems that are not user facing that Web3 gaming companies are going to have to solve. In order to actually make play to earn work, there's this whole game around demographics. There's a whole game around like user attribute targeting. There's a lot of tech they're going to have to build inside of the game that users won't ever see, that nobody will actually even know that you build. That's going to be the core technology that actually needs to make this work. All I have to say, there's just like a ton of work still to be done in this space. It's super exciting what the space is going to be developing in over the next 2 to 3 years. I think we're still a bit of a ways from like moving into different markets too. It's like play to earn in emerging markets like Southeast Asia is a lot different than play to earn in USA or other markets like that as well too. So that's a lot of what we're excited about at Pixels, basically trying to figure out and tackle the next level of scale and iteration, how to make all of it sustainable, how to do like really precise user tracking, targeting, combine that with like on-chain and off-chain data. There's so much there to do. That's the next tricky step. It's super exciting though.
And I want to also take this to Gihos with the same question. I mean, is there a difference between Web3 gamers and Web2 gamers? That is one. And number two, how do you target Web3 gamers more effectively?
So, what this question gets at is something that has actually always happened, is that every new paradigm shift in gaming creates a new subset of the population that plays games, right? We now have 3 billion gamers, but it's like there's the console gamers, there's the PC gamers, there's the mobile gamers, right? Arcade gamers, and each of these paradigm shifts in the way that we game has actually onboarded a new demographic, while preserving a lot of the old, if not all of the old, right? So that's what like even like PC gamers are very like against mobile gamers.
Oh yeah,
right. It's like that's right. Like Blizzard gets a lot of flack for trying to go into mobile, right? And it's gotten there's been a lot of controversy around their attempts to do that. And Nintendo has never been able to really break into it, right? I think I've only played one Nintendo game on my phone. It was like some Super Mario World type game that I don't think it got very, very, very popular. So, yeah, what if Web3 gamers, right? I'm not necessarily going to answer the question. I'm just going to pose another question, right? It's like, what if Web3 gaming is the thing needed to turn the rest of the non-gamers on this earth into gamers? And I have seen people who have traditionally not been gamers become gamers because of Axie Infinity. These are things that I know.
Wow.
There are, right during the pandemic, there were single parents, single mothers that were playing Axie while nursing their child, for a little bit of extra income during a super hard time. So that's one example, right, of an archetype that was on already that wasn't necessarily what you would expect to be playing a game or a Web3 game. So I think it is possible. I think it's a little bit more abstract, but I also think it's a little bit more exciting to think about the types of gamers that we can now have that weren't interested in gaming before. And I'm also someone who, until I found CryptoKitties, I had like retired from gaming, and I was like, oh, like I'm gonna be a productive adult. I'm not gonna play games anymore. But then I found CryptoKitties, and I was like, wow, like finally I can game, and I'm learning about a new technology, and it's potentially helping me in life.
Dude, that is very interesting, especially that example about the say the single mother who wasn't necessarily in the gaming demographic, but through Web3 tech or through the opportunity that Web3 sort of presented, all of a sudden it made sense for her to try out the game, right? It's a way to make some extra income. It's a way to knock out a bunch of birds with just one stone. So this is very interesting. Web3, is Web3 a way to convert all the non-gamers into gamers? Charles, what do you think? I want to.
Well, think of it this way, right?
Go
Like,
ahead.
crypto has already like converted a lot of people who didn't care about finance into people that are interested in finance, right?
Oh
In
yeah.
personal finance.
Oh yeah. I think you're 100% right. And Charles, what do you think?
I think there's. I think it sounds very reasonable. I think for
I
us,
love just the hesitation with answering
I'm just
this
thinking.
question. It's
Well, I'm just I'm thinking about it out loud. That's
oh
But
yeah.
yeah, the I think for me, like the we look at it and think, okay, why do people get excited about things that are on chain, and then how can those people be made to play games, and what kind of game experiences might they be excited about? So at root, we think we want to look at users who are excited about stuff that are on chain, get more people excited about stuff that's on chain, and then convert them into people who play Nifty. That's kind of how we're thinking about it. And for me, like, what are people looking for when they want to go on chain? To me, it's just using the internet in a different way. It's about using the internet in a more heroic, consequential way. People, instead of, oh, what'd you do on the internet last week? Oh, I watched ad friendly media and saw a picture of someone's dog. It's like, oh no, I made six figures and I started a digital nation, and we're doing cool shit. That's what people are looking for. I think the demo we're interested in probably spends a lot of time on the internet. They could be a little older. I think a lot of crypto, like NFT collectors, skew a little older than like your average Fortnite player, for example. But on a whole, I don't really think in demos too much, just because uh, it's like this is like a small town that I know well. I live in it essentially, and so I just kind of know how it feels. And I guess my view is, people want to use the internet in a more consequential way, and we want to provide game experiences that match that feeling of like something more consequential. You can make money, start a business on it, you can squad up with people and do something that feels really value aligned and fun. And so yeah, I think I agree with everything that's been said. Don't know if that was entirely tangential, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I like that. I like that. And I mean, just on this thread, I want to go back to you, Luke, and really, I mean, I agree. Now that I think about it, crypto did turn a lot of people who weren't interested in finance all of a sudden to be financially curious, to be more empowered financially. Same for NFTs, same for Web3 gaming. So, Luke, really, the question I want to pick your brain at is, how has blockchain technology, or the blockchain in general, and NFTs in general, or more specifically, changed the way gamers approach and experience gaming?
Yeah, what I like to look for in Web3 is, I like to call them primitives. Like, what are the new primitives in gaming that Web3 unlocks? So we've been looking at these a lot, and like, as we've seen people try out different things that are completely unrelated to gaming Web3, we've taken away several things as well. Like, one of the first new primitives that came out in Web3 gaming that was the biggest unlock was the play to earn primitive, that Axie Infinity kind of brought out. And rather than just completely criticizing this primitive and saying this primitive will never work in any type of form, what we like to do is we like to see what's working in Web3, and then thinking about, okay, is this actually some kind of new functionality that's unlocked that's really unique in Web3? So the first one that we started experimenting with was interoperability. And I love seeing Nifty Island also take that to like a pretty extreme level as well. To us, that was like the way that we got attention really early on in Pixels. We did some of the first avatar integrations into the game, And for us, that was a way to onboard communities inside of our community. Pixels became a community of communities, and it was really good user acquisition for us as well too. Now, we've also been noticing other primitives pop up in Web3. Like, for example, bonding curves is a super interesting one to me. And we're launching new technology and like new features built around bonding curves and integrating them with another primitive, guilds, and kind of looking at like what the combination of these two primitives will look like in terms of our gameplay. So for me, it's all about like really thinking about like what are the new things that are in Web3 that make the game more fun. Like, this is actually advancing and making the gameplay more interesting than a Web2 game. And what are ways that we can build out a Web3 game where we don't even necessarily need to be competing with Web2 games. That was probably the biggest unlock for me over the last year, when I stopped trying to compete directly with Web2 games and instead was thinking about how can we create new experiences that Web2 can't even touch.
Wow. Okay. I love that. I love where this is going. And I do remember from our last conversation, Luke, right? The idea of just interoperability, having many communities in your game. Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, but I do remember you saying you weren't much of a fan of it until the community kept on spamming you like, we need, we need, we need. Am I remembering things right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we did it, we were like, there might be one other project that did it about the same time as us. But yeah, we were like one of the first projects to ever do this interoperability of like avatars as tightly integrated as we did early on in the game. And we started doing that with like dozens really shortly after that. But yeah, it's interesting because this wasn't really like a well-known primitive at that time. And it was this NFT collection that actually brought it to us rather than us coming up with this like great idea. This NFT collection called Pixel Beast came up to us and was basically being like, hey, how cool would it be if you got put into our game? And I guess that kind of goes into like listening to the community, because sometimes the community has pretty good ideas then.
Dude, Pixel Beasts are great. That is a great. I love the founder of that project. I think they're like awesome. Yeah, hell yeah.
There you go. Shout out to Pixel Beast. Right on that note, man, Luke. So how do you take community feedback? Because then you also have, the difference between feedback, FUD,
Yeah,
something
totally.
that is positive, something that is negative, something that you can actually use. And how do you spot those primitives early on and
So
integrate them? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, FUD's interesting because I think there is some legitimate cases of FUD sometimes, but I don't think all criticism of a game is FUD, or all criticism of community is FUD. Typically, what we see in our community is people are just really passionate and they all have their own ideas, but what we don't want to see is we don't want to see people not saying anything, basically. Like, when people don't care, when people become unengaged, that's much worse for us than people who are passionate, want to see something change. But then, yeah, obviously you're going to have a couple people in any community that just are going to be upset about anything that you do. And maybe that's the kind of FUD that you should ignore. But otherwise, like I think most criticism is generally valid. And typically on the Pixel side of things, we're very aware that we don't have a perfect game right now. We take an experimental approach, so it works a bit better for us than maybe a AAA game, where we can actually respond to feedback and criticisms and make changes. And basically everything is on the table for us as well too. And then yeah, for us also, the speed of iteration is pretty crucial to this. So if we have a good idea from the community, like, we can actually try it out in like a week or two. We like to build really quickly. We like to try things. We kind of like to release things, I don't want to call it half done, but we're okay with releasing things that aren't fully polished, because we can get feedback on it earlier. If it's a dud, if it doesn't work, we can kill it. But otherwise, if it's like interesting, then we can start to polish it out and make it better.
Man, just on this topic of you called them primitives, right? Or did I get it wrong?
Yeah, correct.
Primitives. Just on this topic of primitives, I mean, Jiho is really perfect person to ask this as well. Because Luke, you introduced a lot of new things that haven't really been done before, that all of a sudden really picked up. It really worked. But another person that I think has also done this historically very, very well is our man right here, Geos. So shout out to you, Geos, for that. But what is your philosophy around just trying new things?
Well, so one of the reasons that I was initially really interested in Luke and Pixels was, I just listened to him speak for 2 minutes in Japan, and he was talking about, right, like iterating and creating the playbook when there is no playbook. And I was thinking, right, like that's actually pretty close to how we think about the space. And I had this idea that maybe Ronin would be the chain that recruits builders based on shared values. And experimentation, iteration. So yeah, that's actually, iteration is a core value of Sky Mavis. You can see that on our website. And so, that is something that we hold pretty dear. And right, like I think part of what has worked for us is that we've been iterating for 5 years, right? We've been just constantly shipping. And obviously, like you can do a lot of nothing, but when you stack incremental improvements and doubling down on things that are working and destroying things that are not working over a really long time span, that's how you basically create an industry where there is no real set playbook to work off of.
And that is exactly what it's all about. Just spotting people that really represent your key beliefs, the things that you truly believe in, your ways of working, your ethos, and your work ethics early on, and just
Another way to
joining
think about it.
forces.
Another way to think about it is, how do you have a culture of innovation systematically and scientifically without just relying on like a lot of thinking about super abstract things, right? Because if you're just thinking and thinking about abstract things without experimenting and doing things, right, you get into like analysis paralysis, right? So the way
Oh
to
yeah.
scientifically innovate is basically to mix things that have never been mixed before in novel combinations, right? So it really is like you're a chef, right? And you have different ingredients. And by mixing together different ingredients that have never been mixed before, you can then create something new, right? So what is Axie, right? When you think about it, Axie is like a mixture of Pokemon, Tamagotchi, Bitcoin, proof of work, and Uniswap, right? So it's like these
Love
are
that.
all things. These are all things that, right, like were already pre-established, but they had never been mixed together before.
Sort of like people who tell you, "Have you ever tried mayonnaise and Nutella?" And you're like, "What? Don't knock it out till you try it." Anyway, that is a little Kermit joke. I know. Not always the best, but Charles, you have your hand raised to you, brother.
Yeah, been enjoying hearing people chat here and feeling quite a bit of like, kindred spirits here, just in terms of how we're all thinking about it. And I think, one thing that comes to mind from this is I think a lot of people are looking at Web3 gaming and sort of saying, what is it? There's so many different people doing really divergent things. And I do think, there's sort of two genres of project that very roughly, and there are people who are thinking from first principles about how can NFTs or Web3 transform gaming, and then there's sort of games that are sort of more like, here's a game and we're kind of attaching NFTs to it. We're sort of pegging some NFTs to the side, see if it kind of modifies the experience in a more marginal way. And so I'll just say, I think for people looking at it in the audience, trying to think about the landscape, like the projects up here are ones thinking, how can we change this whole thing? How can we rethink fundamentally how games function and sort of unlock new superpowers in the way we activate users, retain people, monetize? What sort of core like experiences can we offer? How can things be more community driven or financialized, whatever that looks like? But yeah, I'll just say, just thinking, listening to everyone speak here, I think the projects up here are the ones radically thinking, how can Web3 just make gaming a whole different thing?
And I mean to Jiho's point, and great points, Charles. But to Jiho's points, like this is a question back to you, Jiho's. How do you find the things that mix well? Like you just gave the example of Axie, right? It's a mix of Uniswap. It's a mix of Pokemon. It's a mix of like 5 to 6 different things. How do you find the things that mix well? Is it a matter of trial and error, or is it, instinct, gut? What is it?
I mean, I think there's a fair level of intuition around things that might work well together from first principles. But then also, right, that's also where you get the speed of iteration. Is that sometimes you mix things and they don't go well, and then all right, like you just move on to the next thing. So it's like, yeah, how do you? So I think maybe there is a bit of intuition required in terms of like how you prioritize experiments, but also, right, like the ability to ship these experiments rapidly and move on and double when things don't work, and double down when things do work. I think that's key.
Luke, do you also think the same? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. It's partly just like, there's a personal component to it with the team, right? Like, what do they want to be building? What do they find interesting? And then there also is just like this component of trying it out a lot too. I think it's a combination of like building what you want to build and then building also the things that work. That's a really delicate balance in gaming, right? Like gaming needs to come from the heart, especially to build a really good game. But also you need to build a game that people want to play too. So yeah, that's kind of the fun part and the fun challenge.
No wonder you guys just work so well. You think alike. You think so much alike. I love this. This is exactly the alpha we need right from the space. And really, to pivot back a bit into today's topic, the many faces of Web3 gamers, one question I do have right now in my mind is, okay, we have different motives, we have different motivations, we have different user archetypes and behaviors and needs and wants, all of that. How do we prioritize? Who do we focus on? Especially as, if you're a game founder right now listening to the space, and I'm unsure of who to ask this to. I think I'll start with you, G-Host, then Luke, then move on to Charles. How do you start by prioritizing, different user archetypes? Do you start with 1? Do you start with 10? Do you start with all 100?
It's actually tricky, right? How do you balance the wants, the needs, the pain points of all the different types of community members that you have? And I think, some of the things that we found to be successful is that when you can build things that integrate different archetypes together, and create like win-win or positive sum games between the different archetypes, right? So for example, right, the scholarship system was an interesting mechanism that basically, right, like created alignment between people who were collecting or owning a ton of axes, as well as people who, right, had a lot of time to grind and wanted to be super competitive. So yeah, I think it's not necessarily about, right, like picking one archetype over another. I think a lot of the low-hanging fruit is around like how do you design mechanisms that integrate the different archetypes together and create like interesting relationships between them. So I think that's one way to think about it. But I also will say that, yeah, sometimes, right, there are certain features that are a little bit more related to one archetype. And yeah, I think it's also, right, like what metrics are you maximizing for? What like moves the needle the most? These are things that are important, and to be honest, that's also why like having something like a governance token is interesting, right? Because it's like one shared common unit of account that people are interested in maximizing within an ecosystem. Oftentimes, right, it's like, okay, everyone can agree that we want the governance token to have value, right? So then it's like, okay, what are the different things that we can do to maximize that value? That should also like benefit a lot of archetypes together, right? So it could be, right, like we say that AXS is the glue that holds the Axie universe together. And likewise with the Ronin token, right? The Ron token is something that aligns incentives between, right, the gamers, the builders, the speculators, etc. on the Ronin chain, right? So I also think that, right, like governance tokens and ERC20 tokens that like basically represent a fraction or a piece of a project. Those are good things that also like tie in the interests and alignment of many different competing archetypes. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that they're effective and important, even though they also come with a lot of speculation and secondary effects.
Man, I have so many questions right from what you just said. Like, aren't tokens a nightmare for a gaming developer? And once you've launched the token, all of a sudden it's like you have a billion babies. Often the supply is a billion babies just running around screaming chaotically, and in a lot of ways. But I do want to stay within today's topic, the many faces of Web3 gamers. And someone I do want to hear from is Sage from Kuroro Beast. I didn't ask you a question. I just realized right now, brother. So apologies for that. But really, as
No.
I'm thinking, there you go. As I'm thinking of what Jihos was saying, right? He was speaking about aligning incentives of a lot of these different archetypes. So, what is your philosophy when building a game and incentive alignment?
Yeah. First of all, no apologies. It has been a pleasure listening to all the experts here. To me, this is like when they say like never be the smartest person in a room. I feel 100% that way. So yeah, I've been enjoying the conversation so far very much. So yeah, in terms of incentive alignment, to us right now, yeah, I mean, we are dealing with a bunch of different archetypes within our community as well, and we try to optimize different parts of our ecosystem to kind of appeal to each of them, right? Right now, for example, we are running this play to airdrop. Of course, I've said it many times. It was inspired by what Pixels did last, not last year now, but late 2022. And yeah, with this, we're hoping to attract like mostly players, and we have certain parts of our ecosystem that are more optimized for like the what we call the investor archetype. So yeah, I mean, it's a constant balancing act, right? And yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with so much that has been said here. First, to us, it starts by building something that we want to play, something that we enjoy, something that we like, and yeah, it starts from there first, and then basically you try to optimize for these different player archetypes that we have here in Web3, like the typical pyramid that's in traditional gaming, plus to us this kind of like extra layer that comes from the economic structure that's embedded into Web3. But yeah, don't want to take too much time because I know we're close to the end here, but the conversation has been flowing so great, and been enjoying it a lot.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for being on. I appreciate you for giving your take, your insight, your alpha. I do actually want to rotate around the room really quickly before we wrap up for today, or actually, in order to wrap up for today. And Geos, I've been singling you out a lot, but this is because you've been dropping a lot of gems. You've been dropping a lot of alpha. You asked me a question earlier: is Web3 about to onboard the rest of the non-gaming archetypes and demographics? So I'm gonna throw you an Uno card, an Uno reverse card, and throw that question back to you. Do you think Web3 is about to onboard non-gamers?
I think that non-gamers will be an important archetype for Web3 gaming. I think a lot of the people who love Axie are people who love animals and love pets, right? So I kind of always, in the early days of Axie, we thought about this more. It's like, how is Axie an elevation on like the traditional pet experience, right? So then that's like, okay, what is this market, right? There's a market of Gen Z and millennial pet owners or prospective pet owners that, right, might not want to deal with all of the complexities of owning a real pet, right? So then it's like, okay, if we can have an NFT that basically, right, like fulfills some of those emotional desires, right, and then you gamify the progression or the training of the pet, that might be an interesting product that people would want to play with, right? So that's an example, right, of how you can onboard a new demographic to Web3 gaming, by kind of like, right, thinking about the problems that a certain demographic might be experiencing that Web3 gaming or NFTs could address. So likewise, right, like, with there was an issue in the pandemic, right, and many emerging markets, right, where there were parents there were people who were stuck at home. There were, mothers and fathers who, right, needed to support their family but couldn't leave their house. Right, it's like, okay, that might be a demographic that would be interested in experiencing this new type of game. So that's one way to think about it, right? So I don't want to go towards an extreme and say that, right, all Web3 gamers will be non-gamers, because I also know that that's not true, right? There are many Axie gamers who are pro Hearthstone players, for example, right? And so it seems like we've done a decent job of appealing to that type of demographic. But I also think that, yeah, there is a, I think about my friend Cloud White, for example, right? He's like, not like, traditional hardcore gamer, but he fell in love with the idea of next generation Pokemon or Tamagotchi, right? Of a new type of collecting experience. And I think honestly, the gameplay might be just an interesting way of gamifying and digitalizing a lot of the things that collectors have traditionally done, but kind of enhancing it, right? So like one example that I was using recently was that when I was a kid, I loved my in-game Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, and I loved my first edition, or sorry, my Shadowless physical card that was a Charizard, right? But NFTs represent a new type of collectible that can combine many of the attributes of a physical collectible with like a digital game character.
Man, I love that. Thank you so much again for coming on to the space, just dropping all kinds of insight, man. I appreciate you always. Luke, I will wrap up today's space by asking you one final question with which you can wrap us up and take us home. Luke, if you were a gamer, what kind of archetype would you fit most into?
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, I'm definitely more of a social gamer. Even when I played RuneScape, it was more about hanging out with my friends online when I was playing RuneScape, or I would play like Call of Duty and stuff like that when I was growing up as well. But I was pretty bad at Call of Duty. I was really just more there for the voice chats and hanging out with friends online. And even then, if you see me in the game in Pixels, I'm mostly just messing around with people, hanging out with people, saying hi, chatting. That's the kind of stuff I really like.
I love it. I love it, man. Any last minute alpha, any last minute updates you want to give everyone on Pixels before we wrap up for today?
Play the airdrop ends this week. Last chance to get involved with that. And then, yeah, things start moving after that. So, yeah, really appreciate everybody that's been playing, that's been checking out Pixels. Lots of exciting stuff coming up in the next month.
I
And
have
there
been farming
you
this
have
airdrop.
it.
I have 30 something thousand points. I did all the quests. So it's interesting, right? So to be honest, right? Like, let's be real. I'm not someone who is looking to farm the pixel token for monetary gain, but for some reason, right? Like I didn't really fully immerse myself into the universe until we had this catalyst of the play to airdrop campaign, right? So I thought that was interesting, observing my own behavior, because I think I am a Web3 gamer, right? Like I do get interested by new types of incentives, even if I don't, to be honest, need them.
Hey, even I'm farming right now. I was playing Pixels earlier to the space. I might actually no, don't want to confirm nor deny this. I'm not confirming or denying whether I'm playing Pixels as we're speaking right now. That is beside the point. But anyway, I do want to thank every single one of our beautiful, beautiful panelists. Much for having me on today. Everyone in the audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed the space, just make sure to hit that like button, that bookmark, that comment. I appreciate you all. I love you all. See you all same time next week for another space episode with Pixels. It's your boy Kermit signing off. Peace.